person that steps through the door should be the person that is talking to the gatekeeper, if that's the person that you're approaching. Inevitably, you get people that they're trying to get themselves jacked up. They're trying to go in there, they're supposed to be excited, they're supposed to show enthusiasm, and that's great, unless you're one of these people that wants to talk to people about this close. I see a lot of beginners, they're super nervous, and yet they're jumping right into that person's face, or they're going into the decision maker's office, and they're walking around behind the desk almost, and then over the top trying to show them a presentation like that. Just be aware that you need to be at least an arm's length. Your head needs to be an arm's length away from their head. Also, until you're invited into that person's office, don't go through the archway. Okay, just kind of, you can stand in the archway and start talking to them. Spatial awareness, I just kind of went into that as far as getting too close. When you're sitting down, ideally you want to be sitting right next to the person so that you can go through the slideshow. Also, one of the things that I noticed when I was kind of helping some others is that folks will get in a habit of going through the presentation, okay, and just talking to them, and they're just pointing back at the iPad or they're pointing back at their flip book. Get a pen out. Do not point with your finger, okay, and they're going to talk to you about pointing here in just a second. Put it over to the side of the line that you're about to talk to. Look at it so that their eyes are drawn to that bullet point, okay, and then when you start talking, make eye contact with them a second time. When you're finished with that one, go back so that you see where your pen's going to that next bullet point, so you're directing them to what you're about to discuss with them, and then go back and make eye contact with them again. I'm keeping them engaged the entire time. There's also a two-person presentation, which is super helpful to use, because you can have one person that's going through the regular presentation, and then you allow your partner to do the tie down. That's ideal when you notice that the person's starting to drift. Action and volume. Okay, you can project without having your volume completely over the top. When somebody writes music, okay, they're really good musicians. They build, they boom, and then they drop back down. And they build, they boom, and they drop back down. And that's something that you can work on in a presentation. When you're trying to keep that individual engaged, okay, you're trying to get them to ask questions by the questions that you ask. All right, so there's that pentameter. But when you're approaching a gatekeeper, be aware that every other salesperson that's walked in there walks in yelling at them, trying to create enthusiasm that they don't want because you're the 50th freaking insurance person that stepped in the door. Do not go over the top Johnny Salesman with the gatekeeper. I cannot count the number of times that I've had a gatekeeper tell me the reason that they put me through the decision maker. After I've gone back to the role and I was talking to them and I'm quizzing them, then why is it that you let me through? Because you weren't trying to cram it down my throat. You're asking questions that get them to ask questions. Use the script as your safety net, and then fine-tune the stuff that comes through the net to your best advantage through body language and voice control and your knowledge of the policies and the company. That's all I have.